Hey everyone, it's Steph Strickland. I am so excited to be here for our first Sun and Fun Home Edition Performer Profile. We'll bring in Mike Goulian in just a minute, but I want to give you an opportunity, a giveaway, some free things. We love free things, especially right now, right? So all you have to do in this Facebook Live is drop into the comments, let us know where you are watching from, and we will select a winner at random and either give them one of the very cool Sun and Fun t-shirts, the greatest air show that never was. Lots to choose from actually on the Sun and Fun website, but you can get one for free, and or we will give you 4 tickets to Sun and Fun in 2021. So please let us know where you're watching from. Let me bring in Greg Gibson right now. Mr. Gibson, I am so glad that you are joining us for this Facebook Live. Tell me a little bit about the mission of the Sun and Fun Home Edition.
Hey, Steph. Yeah, we're Sun and Fun Home Edition. We're so kind of bummed out because we weren't able to have the live event that's so near to our hearts. Everybody loves Sun and Fun, and we just couldn't do it this year because of all the craziness going on in the world. So we decided that we would have Sun and Fun Home Edition and bring Sun and Fun to you. So what you're seeing right now, obviously, it's a great spot. I'm here at the Aerospace Center for Excellence Live. The backdrop behind me is actually the Airshow Performer Hall of Fame for the ICAST Foundation, which had a great show last week. I hope you guys tuned in and saw the Socially Distant Air Show. What a great deal. And we're looking forward to really kind of riding on the coattails of that success there. So the Home Edition is going to be a series of events, Steph. And what we're doing is going to have these performer profiles. There's going to be several of those over the next couple of weeks. And then as we move through those, each of them is going to be kind of a promotion for our online live benefit that's going to take place on May 30th at 6 p.m. right here on Facebook Live. So everybody can look forward to that. We're going to have, obviously, we got superstar Mike Goulian to talk to here, and we got some other people to tell you about a little bit later on. But we're really excited about it, and we can't wait.
All right, well, I'm excited for it too. So let's get right to it and bring Mike Goulian into the conversation. Mike, thank you so much. Where are you broadcasting from on planet Earth, and what are we seeing behind you?
Hey, Steph. Well, it's an honor to be here, to be first for the Sun and Fun Home Edition. It's really fun. I live just south of Boston near Cape Cod, Massachusetts, a town called Plymouth. We're here in my hangar, have my airplane behind me with its brand new paint job, and then some of our other things that we have in the hangar are our Vision jets that we're managing for customers, and also some of our flight school services there. So we have a little bit of everything, and I have a Piper Cub that you can't see at the moment because it's getting its annual inspection. So we'll be doing a little social distancing over the ocean on some early morning flights in the Cub here pretty soon too.
Outstanding. Hey, I just want to let everyone know I am monitoring the chat. Announcer Rick Peterson joining in, as well as Lights, the big man on the Sun and Fun campus, along with Nancy. Thank you guys. Now the pressure's on, Mike, so we really need to pull this off because Lights is watching.
Yeah, the boss is watching.
The boss is watching, right? Let's start with talking about your very first ever Sun and Fun experience.
Well, one of the reasons that Sun and Fun is so special to me, Steph, is that it's really the first time I was allowed or invited to fly at a major event outside of my home area. So 1991, I was in a black and white Staudacher. I'm hoping some of the people watching today might remember that. And my first airshow flight at Sun and Fun, I thought was a really good airshow flight, to be quite frank. It was, I was doing a knife edge spin and things were going great, but it got a little bit lower than I thought. And I was like, well, that was a little lower, but I just kept on flying. It was really great. And I landed, had this total euphoric feeling like that was my first ever Sun and Fun appearance. How was it? And Patty Wagstaff came up and got in my face and starting yelling at me like, you almost killed yourself. Do you know how low you got? And you did this and you did that. I'm like, I had no idea that I got that low. It's what I didn't know at the time when you're just learning. And, you know, my dad's name was Myron, and he supported me through this, and he was a great friend of Patty's. And she's like, if you ever do anything like that again, I'm going to call Myron and make sure he takes your plane away. So she burst my bubble, but that was a huge learning lesson that I got from Patty on that day. And that's how airshow pilots stay safe, is that we're all actually out there looking for each other.
I have to tell you, Garrett Dempsey joining in on the chat saying, hey, I was there. So there you go. Bringing it full circle. Hey, Garrett, thanks so much for watching. We have folks checking in from all over the place right now. I want to move on to another story for you to tell. I imagine of all the flying you've done, there's been some really crazy flying, and and some challenging flying, but what's maybe your craziest flying story?
I don't know if it, I don't know about craziest flying story, but I've been asked to do some pretty interesting things. And people know, being a part of the Red Bull Air Race, especially in the early years, there was a lot of crazy stuff. And one of the things that Indianapolis for Indy cars, and the thing that it's amazing is that Budapest, you start and finish under the chain bridge, which is just in front of the Parliament building. And the problem with the chain bridge is it's only 27 feet from the water to the bottom of the bridge. And I had never flown underneath a bridge before, and that's how it starts. And it's every pilot's dream to fly underneath a bridge. However, not a bridge that's only 27 feet of clearance, because your airplane takes up about 11 feet. So there's not that much clearance under this bridge. And so here I am in Budapest, 2006, my first year in the air race, and they're briefing this flight for the first practice flight. And my heart is in my throat because I'm about to go under this bridge. Nobody has said anything about it, nothing. And about 3/4 of the way through this briefing, Peter Besnier, who a lot of people may know as the godfather of the Red Bull Air Race, it was really his idea with Mr. Mateschitz. They created the Red Bull Air Race together. And Peter, he stopped the briefing and said, "Michael, have you ever flown underneath a bridge?" I'm like, "Well, no, Peter, I haven't flown underneath a bridge." And they're like, "Hey, you need to give Michael some time for some bridge practice." And they're like, "Yeah, okay. You get 2 passes underneath the bridge and then you have to start." So that was my introduction of flying under a bridge. They're like, "Hey, we're on a tight time schedule and this is the Red Bull Air Race, so suck it up and let's go." And I got 2 passes under the bridge without having to actually start the course. And I can remember like it was yesterday. You get down on the water and you set it up, and for me, I'm like, I'm going to put my wheels as close to the water as I can get, because I want as much space as I can get between my airplane and that bridge, because that bridge is hard. And so I can remember like it was yesterday, coming down low across the water, looking under the bridge, and my heart is pounding, my throat is dry, and you're like, "Oh my God, here it comes, here it comes, here it comes." And all you can see, I hate to deflate the pilots that are thinking how cool that would be, because you don't actually see the bridge go over the top of your head. The only way is that the shadow goes over your head, because you're not looking at the bridge, you're looking out underneath the bridge. So then over time, I guess in my years of flying in the air race, I've probably done that 75 times. And that was the one thing that was the most scary. Like, okay, I'm going to go fly underneath this really tiny bridge, and we're allowed to stand on it before, and then to see it really through your cockpit doing 200 and something knots of ground speed. It happens fast, but I guess that's probably the sort of the most, I don't know, if you will, scary thing that had a good outcome, right? But it was one of those things that I wasn't really prepared for until you're right there, and you can't train for it. That's the weirdest thing, is you just can't. There's nothing you can do to practice it. You just have to go do it and trust your skills.
Yeah, it's a bit like soloing. So they tell me, as the perpetual student
That's
pilot.
right.
So
That's
it's
right.
the first time you do it. It's for
someday
real.
you'll know.
Yeah, thank you.
And we'll
Exactly.
be there
Still
to cheer
working
you on.
towards that. Thank you. Thank you. So I want to just let you know right now, I'm looking in the chat, so forgive me for looking down, but we have John Monroe checking in from Virginia saying hi. The chat is just lit up. So thank you, everyone who's joining us. We really do appreciate it. I want to bring Greg Gibson into this conversation here to talk about our next thing. And the reason why I want Greg to be a part of this is because apparently, Mike, so I hear, he's a terrible driver. I'll let you start that story. Oh, here you go. Can't call Greg out, but I'm going to. So tell me a little bit about the Mini Cooper story.
Well, yeah, as many people know, Greg, along with Lights, have been really driving Sun and Fun forward these past years, and they're doing an amazing job. And Sun and Fun has really just come leaps and bounds in its communication with the world and what it's doing. And the Aerospace Center for Excellence and all of that stuff is really great. But what they don't know is that back in 2014, Greg was the team coordinator for team number 99, my Red Bull Air Race team. And he wanted to see the world, and he was seeing the world. And, it's Thursday afternoon after a day of practice in Poland. And back in the day, the BMW company and Mini sponsored the air race and all of the teams. So whenever we would show up at a race location, we would get a Mini Cooper. And sometimes the Minis were the race Mini, or sometimes they were the station wagon Mini. To Greg, to him, they were all race car Minis. So here's Greg, myself, and Dennis Sawyer, our technician, in the car. And I can see that's actually the car right there, Greg. I'm not sure if you knew that or not. But Hannes Ark, everything in life in the Red Bull Air Race, or probably in all of racing, is a contest. So we're going home and leaving the track, this beautiful long road in Poland. Hannes goes ripping off up the road. So Greg's like, let's catch Hannes. Like, that sounds like a great idea. And so
racing.
So Greg puts his foot to the floor, starts cranking away, and we get through third gear. And I don't know how fast we're going. I'll like, it's my story, Greg. So at least 150 miles an hour. And,
okay, that's what we're doing.
And there's an island in the middle of this road, which Greg clearly doesn't see, but Dennis and I clearly do see. But we're going so fast, and it came up on us so quickly that all we could do was brace and scream. And Scout's honor, no lie, all four wheels in the air, launched off of this island and landed on the other side of the island. I thought we were dead. And we dented four wheels of the brand new Mini Cooper pretty well. Although Greg will point out, we did catch Hannes.
We did catch Hannes. It's racing. Everything in the Red Bull Air Race is racing, so it worked out real well. I was pretty proud of that, honestly.
Yeah.
I like it. Pretty proud of that.
When he wasn't a team coordinator, he was wrecking cars.
You know what?
Well,
that's why he gets a golf cart.
Busy with the Goulian
right.
team.
I love it. Hey, I want to give a quick shout out to Hernan, who's now joining us from Argentina. Thank you so much. You're traveling long distances in the digital ones and O's era to join us, and we appreciate that. And checking in from Wichita, and we also have Paul in Charlotte County, Florida. So, Mike, now I want to talk about some of your greatest sport flying memories. We've talked about maybe not the craziest, but just some of the really epic things. But there's some memories that are really sort of seminal to your flying career. Let's talk about that.
Well, Steph, I was one of those kids when I grew up. I was a hockey player just outside of Boston, and I was working in my dad's flight school, and I worked hard to sort of get my first pit special, which was a $12,000 open cockpit, 2 aileron flat wing Pitts S1C, and I used that to practice. And when I think back out there, I would fuel up all my dad's airplanes when all the airplanes were in the sky at our flight school. Then I'd go out and practice for 15 minutes and come back and fuel up all the airplanes again, and then go back out and practice. And I did that for years. And, when you're a 17-year-old kid and you're just working your way through, and, you're just really following your passion, what you want to do. I had no idea sort of what my end goal was. I didn't really have a goal at the time. I just knew that I loved what I was doing. I wanted to keep doing it. Leo Laudensager was a hero of mine. If I could have ever done anything similar to Leo, that would have been amazing. And then fast forward a whole bunch of years, and like anything in life, you're an overnight success in 20 years, right? And again, my first Red Bull Air Race brought me to the United Arab Emirates, Abu Dhabi, and there's some pictures of me flying really along the skyline of Abu Dhabi, which was a big pinch me moment. I was like, here's a kid that started off in Boston in a little pit special S1C that's now getting ready to compete in a worldwide event in the Middle East, which was a pretty amazing experience. And I was lucky enough to go on to win that race in 2018, the first race of the year in 2018.
Well, and that is actually, boy, it's like you're like a highly trained professional because you've set me up for a brilliant segue. I want to say a quick hello to Drew Watson watching from Hawaii. Hey, Drew. We also have Kathy Desmond, who just says, thank you for this awesome content. She's a fan of yours, Mike. She's a fan of Sun and Fun, and she's really enjoying it. So thanks for being a part of this. I want to talk. So you went on, you talked about Abu Dhabi, but now I want to talk about what happened in Indy in 2018. Walk me through that moment.
Yeah, so I've been lucky enough to win the national championship in both our advanced category and unlimited category, and won a whole lot of Airshow awards. But I won Indianapolis Red Bull Air Race in 2018, and to me, was just such an epic moment because I grew up watching the Indianapolis 500 with my dad, and I understand the history of the motorsport. And I'm one of those people that I just love the history of golf, sports, car racing, and aviation and aerobatics as well. And knowing that to win as an American at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in a worldwide racing event, which was a race that I never really expected to win. We actually qualified like 7th, and we were really going into Sunday just hoping we were going to get on a podium. But like anything in racing, some days it's just your day. And I was lucky enough to win that race. And when I walk up the stairs to my office every day, that trophy is sitting right there when I walk in my office, and it just puts a smile on my face because it was one of those sort of pinch me moments that I'll never forget.
Absolutely. That's an awesome story, and the photos really do tell it. I have to get in a quick question before I move on to my next thing. Rick Peterson is wondering what your vehicle is at home. I answered in the chat that it was a Mercedes. He's like, not yours. I want to know what Mike Goulian drives. I was like, I told him a Cirrus. I said on the chat that your home vehicle is a Cirrus, but what is your preferred home vehicle?
I don't know if I have a preferred vehicle. My daughter and I are like, hey, someday, Dad, we're going to buy a Ferrari. You're like, yeah, that's a great, because we're big Ferrari fans in Formula One. Maybe someday if we're lucky enough. But there's a Toyota pickup truck sitting outside the hangar there, and my wife drives an Audi. And yeah, I love cars, but we can't go very fast around New England where we live. It's snowy in the wintertime, so it's one of those things you can't have a great sports car. So it is what it is.
Yeah, you'll hang on to the
Sorry, Rick.
cars for some other time. Sorry, Rick.
Yeah.
Okay, so we talked about Indy in 2018, but now I want to fast forward to Indy in 2019. One of the coolest experiences in my life was flying backseat with Viper Demo. I flew with Toro, who is the current Viper Demo pilot, but in 2019, you got an invitation to fly with Viper Demo and rain. Talk to me about that moment. Awesome.
Yeah, it was actually pretty funny. I was at Indy in 2019 as the Red Bull Air Race World Champion in Indianapolis from 18. I was the reigning champ. So my family and I were invited to the race on Memorial Day weekend as a guest of the Speedway. So we did all kinds of amazing stuff as a VIP at the Indy 500 for the weekend. And I had just taken a 2-seat IndyCar ride at about 195 miles an hour around the Speedway the morning of the race, which was epic. And then I got a text message when I got out of the car, and it was out of the Indy car, and it was rain. And he said, hey, what are you doing later on tonight? I'm like, what do you mean, what am I doing later on tonight? I'm watching the race. He goes, well, I'm here. I've arranged it so you can have a ride. Would you like to have a ride? I'm like, no, of course I want a ride. So I hightailed it with my wife and my daughter over to the big Indy airport and got all fitted for the G suit, the ejection seat, the whole thing, and got in an airplane with Rain and with one of his teammates. We went out as a flight of 2 into Amoa, about 50 miles away from Indianapolis. And he's like, hey, do you want to do my demo, or do you want to do some BFM, some air-to-air stuff? And I'm like, I can fly aerobatics in anything. I'm like, let's just crank this thing. Let me see. So these guys turn out and come right at each other, fights on, and off we go. And I felt like I was in a washing machine for about 15 minutes. We were both completely exhausted. It was super, super fun. And then he's like, okay, then it's yours. And then I got the chance to fly the Viper around a whole bunch. And we're like, we just got it to basically as low amount of fuel as we could get before we came home, and it was one of those experiences. What a weekend! So people are like, "Hey, what's your favorite city in the United States?" I'm like, I don't know. A lot of pretty cool stuff has happened in Indianapolis.
Well, I'll tell you a true story. I almost, when I got out of the jet, threw up on poor Toro's shoes, and I've never been airsick, and I've flown in other jets before. Let's go ahead and bring a special guest in. This is a surprise to everyone. Joining us now in this chat is someone who can speak directly to the experience and how you did, all the way from China, where he is currently working, is Major Rain Waters, the former John Rain Waters, the former Viper demo pilot. All right, Rain, how did he really do?
Well, what we don't show is all the post-production that had to go into that video to get rid of the squealing and screaming to make it. But no, in all seriousness, it was Mike, professional pilot, you really can share what, because we both want to know what each other's planes can do. And so you put another pilot in the back seat who knows what he's doing. It's really cool to see them take it to the next level and just kind of learn about your plane and get a feel for it.
There you go. Mike, I think you did better than me, that it is truly like being in a blender. But Rain, I do think that had I actually flown with you, I would have passed out, left my soul behind, and then vomited. So I hear that you're quite an aggressive pilot, and I think Mike can attest to that. That was your strategy with backseaters, right?
Yeah, I mean, you want to really give everyone the full experience, so you can't go light. You just got to bring it.
And by the way, you two are both in trouble for ambushing me, by the way, when I see you. Thanks a lot for that.
Hey, Rain, I know you're, again, all the way over in China. It's something like 6 o'clock in the morning there. And I'm just very appreciative for you calling in. And Mike, we had to, I thought of all the things we could do to surprise you, that would be the one surprise that would be okay in all of this. So I will absolutely take it. Now I want to get ready to actually bring Greg Gibson back into the conversation, because what we are going to talk about is something really cool that happened at Sun and Fun in 2016. Now, I didn't come to be a part of the Sun and Fun family until 2017. And honestly, it's a regret of mine that I missed this. So Mike, in 2016, you actually did a full Red Bull Air Race demo.
Yeah, pretty amazing. Greg, as I said, Greg and Lights have been pushing up the envelope a lot, not quite as much as Rain, but they try, and in 2016, we brought the Red Bull Air Race and a demo format to Sun and Fun. We wanted to give the spectators a chance of what it would be like to be at a real Red Bull Air Race. So we actually brought Nick Fellows, and if you're a fan of the Red Bull Air Race, Nick Fellows is the voice of the Air Race. So we had Nick on the mic, Kirby and I were flying, and also Kevin Coleman was helping on the mic with the guys to explain what happened. And so we showed the world of Lakeland and Sun and Fun what would happen with high calls, low calls, pylon hits. We let Kirby hit the pylon. I didn't hit the pylon. I was too chicken as usual. But so they got an amazing experience, and it was unbelievable because the people really, really enjoyed that. And that's one of those. How many people get to fly, quote, a Red Bull Air Race at Sun and Fun? So that was a pretty special day for sure.
Greg, what was your sort of mindset when you decided, you know what, we're going to bring this and put it front and center in front of all of the Sun and Fun supporters who have been with you guys for so long? Greg, that must have been an awesome idea and obviously wonderfully executed.
It was a fantastic thing. We, first of all, I was a huge fan of the Red Bull Air Races to begin with. Having traveled the circuit with Mike, that year in 2014, it took us about a year to put it together because, it's not a cheap thing to try to bring this thing to life. So really great group of people that were able to come over and pull this off, coordinated well. Got a shout out to the Lakeland Linder International Airport. Gene Conrad and his team really were very supportive of putting this thing together, our FAA friends. And the answer was yes, just how do we get there? And when this thing came to life, it was just epic. Everything about it was perfect. Everything that we did was fantastic. And Mike, what was really cool, Nick Fellows can make you getting into the airplane sound exciting. There he is, it's Mikey Goulian, and he's about to open the cockpit. He's going to enter the airplane. Oh my God, I don't know if we can stand the suspense, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, he's now started the airplane. It's just he's a great man. And that's one of the thrills of my life to have everybody here.
That is Nick for sure.
Awesome. Now I've got something.
Really cool. So, Greg, I'll have you turn your camera around because I want to introduce you to Sean Stoltz. Sean Stoltz is a super motivated, very awesome 18-year-old who is with the Lakeland Aero Club. And he really, Mike, loves your flying. And just, I mean, he just thinks you're a fantastic human being. And he has some questions for you. But first, Sean, let me start by asking you, how does the Lakeland Aero Club relate to everything we're doing here with the Aerospace Center for Excellence in Sun and Fun?
So good evening, everybody, or wherever you're watching, it might be morning. My name is Sean Stoltz. I'm the vice president of the Lakeland Aero Club. We're the largest high school flying club in the world. We're based right here on the Sun and Fun Aerospace Center of Excellence campus. And it really gives the students an opportunity to expand upon what ACE does. ACE gets them hooked on aviation, and then they can come here and build airplanes, maintain airplanes, fly airplanes, and really just get involved in the aviation community.
So, Sean, what is your question for Mike?
So, as I was saying, we're the largest high school flying club in the world. I would send a message out to all the members and really asked, hey, if you could ask Michael Goulian one question, because I'm not the only big Michael Goulian fan, all of us are. And they came back with two really good questions. The first one is kind of a more difficult one, but what would be, if we've got tons of pilots, mechanics, even engineers coming through this program, what's your advice for the next generation of aviators that are really kind of struggling to figure out exactly how they want to get into the industry?
Yeah, you know what? I think what I would say, Sean, is that this industry is welcoming of everybody, right? There's not a lot of exclusionary stuff going on. If you want to be a mechanic, a baggage handler, you want to be a pilot, you want to be in the customer service part of aviation, no matter what it is, find your passion. You'll find passionate people there. And that's, I think, a lot of people ask me what I like about aviation. And there's not many, I call them 1%ers or 100%ers. There's not many people in life that are 100%ers all the time. But most aviators, they definitely are. They're living their life to the fullest. They're doing their best every day. And then here's the other thing. It's a long road. And Rain can certainly attest for how he started in his Air Force career and now into his airline career. It's a long road, but every single step that you have is a great step, and you make friends that you're going to have for life. And wherever you go and whatever you do, when you make friends that have similar interests to you, you're never going to work a day in your life. And no matter how hard it is to get there, just enjoy every step, enjoy the ride, because the ride is as good as the destination. And there really is no destination. You're always trying to learn as an aviator or as somebody that's in the aviation business. So tell them to find their passion, live their passion, and they'll never work a day in their life.
Most
That's
certainly.
awesome.
We've got a whole bunch of students that are all really passionate already. So hopefully they can continue that passion on through their whole aviation careers.
Sean, you had a second question. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. So a lot of the students came through, and obviously, as you have mentioned previously, you've flown the F-16 with the Rain. But if there was one aircraft you could fly that you haven't flown in yet, or maybe even that you have flown in yet, what would be that one aircraft, that kind of dream airplane you could fly?
That's a great question. Could I say more than one? I have three if I think about it. All right.
Yeah, well, let's do your top three.
So I'd have to say taking a trap on an aircraft carrier at night would be a big deal, even if it was just like you got to do that. That sounds pretty crazy. You only want to do it once. I know. Well, nobody ever said I was smart. And B-58 Hustler, Rain probably knows what that is. The most amazing bomber. It's not a fighter, but it's a real man's jet. That's a piece of machinery. And one thing that I've seen in person, very close up to in personal few times, was the space shuttle going into orbit. If you could have said, what is the one thing you would love to do, to have been able to take a ride on the shuttle would have been absolutely amazing. So those are my first three things, besides flying in an F-16 with Rain. And did he tell you that I taught him everything he knows? I don't know if he has said that yet, but
I learned so much. But I would like to say one thing: the night trap. When you land, you have to stay on the boat, right?
Yeah, that's the bad part.
That shot, like you're off the way. Just saying.
That's awesome.
See, he's a smart guy. He's a smart guy.
Sean, thank you so much for joining us
Thank
on this
you.
live stream. Your questions were awesome. You're a fantastic ambassador for everything that Sun and Fun, the Lakeland Aero Club, and the Aerospace Center for Excellence represents. Thank you. Mike, we're going to go ahead and wrap things up for you. I just wanted to say a quick thank you for being such a supporter of Sun and Fun and the mission. And the kids are really, and the young adults like Sean are really what it's all about. So a big thank you to you for being a part of this.
No, it's my Steph. It's my pleasure to be on the first one. Rain, thanks for getting up out of bed, buddy. Hope your jet lag's not so terrible over there.
Thanks. I
And
appreciate it.
yeah, it's a great surprise. You guys are the best. Thank you very much for having me.
That's right. And before we go, I want to just bring Rain in one last time. Rain, one of the questions that's showing up here really quick, and I've got another question for you, Mike. So we're going to go. I've been given the green light and the thumbs up to
Okay.
include both of these things. Rain, starting with you, from your perspective, what would you tell any aspiring pilots to sort of answer Sean's question from earlier?
Yeah, Mike, I think nailed it, and that is the truth. You have to enjoy the journey. It is a long path to get there. There are going to be hurdles. There are going to be setbacks. You have to push through it. Lean on the people you meet. Again, you never know the connection you're going to make with one person that is going to pay dividends down the road. But just be a sponge, have a good attitude, soak up as much you can, learn, and just keep pushing through. But you have to, find that passion, find that one thing you want to do in life, and just get after it. And you'll never work a day in life. I mean, Mike said it honestly the best way possible. I want to record it, and I'll just play it back to me every now and then.
Solid. All right, my question to you, Mike Goulian, is coming from Greg Johnson. Greg wants to know, what is your favorite maneuver? What do you really enjoy when you're out there flying the demo?
Greg asked a good question. It's a hard question. I would say that it's not just one maneuver. It is when you're done with an entire sequence, especially on a challenging day with the wind, you can go ahead and really just try to be perfect in the wind, make it perfect. All the tumbling maneuvers, have them come off perfectly well. The positioning, the enthusiasm, the energy that you find. So to me, I never look at one maneuver, but I look at how the whole thing went, and then just the reaction of the fans when you land, because that's what you do. You're given 100%, and you want them to know that you're given 100%.
Well, that's a great way. Let's go ahead, and if we can, I saw this pop up earlier. Can we take that sort of 6 box or the shot where we could see everyone who was joining us here on this call? Because really, it takes a village to do these sorts of things. And as you've seen on your screen, there is the text to give number. It's very, very simple for those of you in the United States. And for those of you in Canada and beyond, you can go to the website there, flysnf.org. That also provides an opportunity, if you're able to donate, to be able to be a part of this experience and help kids like young adults like Sean and the kids who are coming up behind him really make their mark in the aviation world. So I will go ahead now and wrap things up with Mike, but Greg, don't go anywhere because I'm coming to you next. Mike Goulian, thank you, sir. I really appreciate your time.
Pleasure, Steph. Thank you.
Let's go ahead and talk one more time really quickly to Greg Gibson. Now, Greg, I'd like your t-shirt, and you guys are selling these shirts on your website for all of the folks who checked in with us and gave their location. One of them will actually win a free t-shirt, and someone else will win 4 tickets to Sun and Fun in 2021. But the cool thing about these shirts is that if you wear them at Sun and Fun in 2021, you will have prize patrol out there. Tell me, I love the free stuff. Tell me about that.
Yeah, Steph. So what we're going to do is, obviously, these are for sale on all of our websites, right? You can go to the Sun and Fun Home Edition, which is accessed through flysnf.org, like you see on the screen there. And if you're wearing one of these cool shirts, which we've got a lot of them, then you will be able to be eligible for our prize patrol. So people will be going all over the campus looking for these shirts, and they got to have this little thing on there on the side there, the greatest air show that never happened. This is a collectible. You can only get it this year because hopefully this is the only time this is going to go down like this. But If a prize patrol grabs you, you're going to be eligible for extended prizes, upgrades. We're going to be putting people in our 927 club. You might get to hang out and maybe meet that crazy guy, Mike Goulian, that helped us out so much today, which I really appreciate. So order up, you guys look at them, and hopefully our winner will let us know when that happens and get us a photo back through Facebook and let's see it.
Perfection. And do me a favor, let's talk about what's coming up on Tuesday, because we are just getting started.
We are. This is the first in a series of performer profiles, and we're going to have the Geico Sky Typers on Tuesday talking about their formation work and what it takes to be a Sky Typer. Totally different type of flying. I know Larry Arkin and Mike Goulian are great friends. I heard something about a diet that you and he and, it seems like, I don't know. We can go into that later. But anyway, so great people and great friends, and I'm just really, really proud and honored to be part of these guys and have such a good history so we can bring it to these folks at the Sun and Fun Home Edition.
Well, thank you for letting me be a part of this experience, Greg. With that, everyone, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for being a part of the chat. And thank you for those of you who are able to donate and be a part of the experience. I encourage you to give Sun and Fun. Check out their website, flysnf.org. The website's been on the screen there. We will keep you updated as things happen, and always keep checking in on that Facebook page because we have much more in store. Thanks, everyone, so much for your very first performer profile for Sun and Fun, the at-home edition.